You know how I used to do stuff? I used to go ahead and check a guy that was a wrestler. I used to go ahead and do one thing. Grab him by the wrist like this. Okay? Mm-hmm. Put your wrist over here.
Like that?
Put your wrist over here.
In front of you?
Yeah, come on. All right. The people can see your wrist. What the hell's the difference? Since you told me I could say anything, just don't take your pants down.
No, I won't do that.
Well, learn how to walk, too. Let me stand up then. Okay. What do you see?
They're almost overlapping.
The fingers touch.
Uh-huh.
You know what that meant to me?
That wasn't big enough?
You remember Magnum TA?
We did an interview with him, actually.
Did you?
Yep.
Nice kid. Terry what?
Allen.
Terry Allen, thank you. Nice kid. Pretty decent worker. When I met him the first time, he was about 240 pounds. Good body on him, all that. Then he got in that accident. And by the way, if you see Terry again, you might ask him about it. I told him. I said, because he passed me one time, just going like a bat out of hell. And I said, you stupid son of a bitch. I said, you better slow down. Okay. He's a young kid full of piss and vinegar. Well, the rest, you know, because he got into an accident, turned the car, what the hell ever happened, fucked himself up terribly. But I was surprised because even though he has an excuse because he was in this accident, Terry, and it's my opinion, is a small boned kid. 145 pounder, I don't know. But he surely wasn't in that 240 pound class because his shoulders were about, I don't know, how big was he when he was here when he was doing the interview?
He's put on a lot of weight.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
So he's heavy.
Yes.
Back to where he was. But if you take a look at him, I mean, I'm not big like I was, but I'm getting close to as small as I'm going to be because I am where I'm at, right. You know. And I was just surprised that and anyway, somewhere in that time frame, and even before, I got to judging guys by simply grabbing their wrist. And if my fingers went like this, we used to say female bones. So how tough can that be? So if it came right down to something, and I'm going back to talking about in a shoot situation, because even though everybody has the opinion, and I'm sure you guys do too, that wrestling has always been bullshit, it isn't and it wasn't. And I've had a few shoots in my time, but only to the extent that somebody has to find out what's going on. It's not a deal where it goes on for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or, you know, one guy starts something, the other guy, and you do something, and then he says, okay, yeah, you got me. Mm-hmm. And then we go back to working. But every now and then you get somebody that wants to try and see what's going on. It happened with me a few times. And if you go back further with a Vern or a Lou Thez, it happened a lot. And it happened because the guys had so much pride at that time, and they all were pretty damn decent. They weren't just guys off the street that had been flexing in front of a mirror. You know, they had some qualifications. So on occasion, when somebody said, yeah, we don't want to put this guy over, the other guy might say, I don't think so. And now you got a problem, and you got a situation that has to be resolved some way or another. Even the guy that wrestled is my brother, Lars. We had that kind of a thing. I think that's in the book. We wrestled one time a legit collegiate match in college, and I beat him. So, and that took years later before we had another deal. You can read about it. But anyway.
I was going to ask you, were you cause I was surprised when I interviewed Bobby Eaton. He said that he never traveled with his tag partners.
What now?
Bobby Eaton, he never traveled with his tag partners. I was wondering, did you travel with Gene most of the time? Yeah.
Well, but Gene and I were close. We played football against each other when we were in high school. So we were in the same football conference when I was in high school. And there's a story in the book about him. I ran into him again when I was in the service. Go read it. But Gene and I spent a lot of time together on the road, but we never stayed together. When the wrestling was done, we got back home. He stayed in his house. I stayed in my house. Our families never socialized at any time. I can't remember any time we were together. And he and I met. We went to the damn town. If we stayed overnight, good. Same hotel, all that kind of crap. We got back in the car, and we drove back home, and then he went his way and I went my way. But we didn't go with anybody else because we didn't want to be around anybody else. We used to talk about the business ad nauseum. I used to talk about the business ad nauseum because he used to go, I don't think that'll work. Well, what the hell are you talking about? For Christ's sake, don't you think that's going to be a good idea? Well, say something. That was, But Gene was a hell of a guy, and Gene knew a lot about the business, and so he was my sounding board for a lot of stuff. But we never, on occasion, we would take somebody with us, but it was very, very rare. I'll give you a story right there, since it just came to my little head. Everybody know a guy by the name of the great Malenko?
Yes.
I had known Larry in Florida. That's where I first met him. He came up to the Carolinas in, I think, 73. Wrestling as the great Malenko. Gene came to pick me up, and usually just the two of us rode together, Gene and myself. But there's somebody, I can see somebody in the front seat as he pulls up, and it's Larry Malenko, or it's the great Malenko. So I just, hell with it, okay. So I just get in the back seat. We're driving down the road, and the great Malenko. Do we all know him as Larry Simon?
No.
No, we don't know him.
No, we do.
Yeah, now you do. Anyway, the great Malenko, to keep it in character, said, "Hey, have you ever met Karl Gotch?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, he's a pretty tough guy." And Larry was, Malenko was apparently pretty damn good. And his kids are very good. Dean is working for WWF right now. Mm-hmm. He's a good kid. Yeah, he knows how to wrestle. Anyway, so Malenko says, "You don't know, you never met Karl Gotch?" And I said, "No." He said, "He's pretty damn good." Well, I had just been cut where I had that 100 stitches and all that shit. I said, "How good can he be?" At that time, Karl Gotch supposedly was over in Hawaii, and he was working in the sanitation department. What his job was, I don't know. But I just made an off-the-wall comment. I said, "How tough can Karl Gotch be, for Christ's sake? He's over in Hawaii hauling garbage." So Larry Malenko turns around and he says, "Do you think you could beat Karl Gotch?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know." He said, "Would you say that to Karl Gotch?" I said, "Fucking A. What the hell? What are you talking about?" So, 2-3 weeks later, maybe it's a month later, I don't remember the time frame. Car comes up, Malenko's sitting in the front seat again where I'm supposed to be. Now, we hadn't seen him probably all month long, except in the dressing rooms or whatever. Gene's driving, Malenko's sitting in the front seat, and there's a guy sitting in the back seat behind Gene, the driver's side. So I open up the passenger door and I get in. When I look like this, here's this guy. Haircut about ½ inch or less. Just looks like a goddamn piece of steel. And I know right away, this is Karl Gotch. Fuck, he's supposed to be in Hawaii. What the hell's he doing here? I know it's Karl Gotch. So Simon reaches over the front seat and he said, Malenko reaches over, turns around, reaches over the front seat, and he says, "Ole, meet Karl Gotch." So I turned to Karl, and like I say, I'd just been cut. I had that 100 and some stitches in my chest. I said, "I tell you what, if you want a piece of my ass, I said, you better get in line and you better take a number." And I said, on top of that, you better pack a lunch. And Karl Gotch goes, if anybody knows Karl Gotch, look him up. I think he's still alive, but I don't know. But he was a tough son of a bitch, so they said. And I don't disagree with what they said. So Karl Gotch is sitting like this. Looks like he's made out of stone, for Christ's sake. He doesn't go like this. He goes, and the whole body, he can't go like that. The whole body just turns at the same time. And he's looking right at me and he says, when I wrestle you, I will pack a lunch because I want to take all day. The greatest damn line. I thought it was great. I thought it was great. Well, we got the bullshitting and all that kind of crap and everything. Everything was all smoothed out. So Karl Gotch never stretched my ass. So who knows? But that's my little shit story.